Ladies and gentlemen, I am the one and only DJ Storms, and I would like to welcome each and every single one of you back here to the channel right here on YouTube.com, as of course, you already know who I am, Mr. Controversy, and the operator of the best damn Twitter handle known to mankind. And I would like to welcome each and every single one of you to a very special Wednesday edition of the Lightning Flash Update. No weekly show reviews this week. No weekly show reviews this week at all, because I simply do not have the time to review all 5 of the weekly shows, because this weekend I am starting a huge weekend. Going to Access on Friday. Obviously, I'm planning on going to the Superstore for WrestleMania on Saturday. And I got the rundown for WrestleMania coming up. I'm going to address this whole Search for Thunder issue. Look, I really don't want to give up, but I don't know at this rate. I'm going to address this entire issue, and I'm going to address the sign from the universe that was given to me last week. I will address it this Saturday before WrestleMania on the rundown for WrestleMania. As far as that relates. Also, then I got Rescue Mania. Got Rescue Mania YouTube tapings in my hometown at the Elmwood Park Rec Center on WrestleMania Day. Then I got WrestleMania, then the Raw after Mania. And then I got Rescue Mania Never Forgotten on April 14th. So it's going to be a pretty busy weekend. It's going to be a pretty busy weekend. But right now, I got a lot of interesting news, rumors, and reports. So we're going to get straight into it. With my first report being a follow-up from the Lightning Flash Update Part 2 last week. I had to split the Lightning Flash Update in 2 last week. The first part was the weekly show reviews. Second part was the news, rumors, and reports. Now, this is a follow-up from Part 2. The Wrestling Observer newsletter followed up on Keith Lee's injury, and they reported that Keith Lee's injury is not severe at all. So we should be back within a few months' time. So that is good news for any Keith Lee fans. I'm a Keith Lee fan. So that's good news for anyone who is Keith Lee fan, is a Keith Lee fan, and is Keith Lee himself. Again, the injury is not specified in this report. I have not heard any reports on what specifically this injury is, but again, depending on what this injury is, should be back in a month, 2 months' time. I can't wait to see what Keith Lee does. So if anyone is concerned about Keith Lee, Wrestling Observer Newsletter reported that the injury is not severe at all, and he should be back in a few months' time. Speaking of injuries, Squared Circle Sirens noted that NXT UK female talent, Ginny, the fashionista, is also on the shelf with an injury of her own. Now, interestingly enough, if you've been watching NXT UK, she's currently embroiled in a storyline with NXT UK Women's Champion Toni Storm, and she's scheduled to face Toni Storm for the NXT UK Women's Championship next week. And based off of this injury, this leaves this match up in the air. Because, see, I do not know if they already pre-recorded this match in the recordings for NXT UK in Coventry, because that's what they've been currently doing for the past number of weeks. They've been in Coventry, and they have been recording a lot of tapings and a lot of episodes there. Now, I'm not sure if this match is supposed to take place over the Access tapings, because they confirmed that they are going to be doing NXT UK episode tapings for WrestleMania Access, just like they did for the Royal Rumble Access. Triple H even confirmed that they're doing 4 network specials for 4 Worlds Collide tournaments. They're doing a Cruiserweight Collide tournament on Friday when I go to Access, so I'm going to be able to see that. And they're doing NXT UK tapings as well. So I'm not sure if this match is scheduled to take place on the tapings, and I don't know if Ginny is going to be working through this injury, but I guess this would explain why she hasn't really been competing over the course of the last few weeks on NXT UK leading up to this match with Toni Storm. Now, I personally want to see this match because I am a fan of both Ginny and Toni Storm. Toni Storm's fantastic at what she does. Ginny's a great heel, and considering Toni Storm hasn't really gotten so many title defenses in, you know, it really does leave the match up in the air. Again, I'm not sure if Ginny's going to be working through the injury. I don't know what specifically the injury is, and I'm not sure about the severity of the injury. But Squared Circle Sirens reports that Ginny's on the shelf with an injury, and if this is true, then if they haven't already recorded the match between Ginny and Toni Storm for the NXT UK Women's Championship, most likely it was set to take place over the NXT UK tapings over Access. Now, I'm not sure when they're taping NXT UK tapings over Access. It could be on WrestleMania Day. It could be after WrestleMania. But regardless, this match could very well not happen, and that's a damn shame because I was looking forward to it. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Let me get my shout out to Mr. Slice Wrestling. If you want to go follow him on Twitter, it is at Slice Wrestling. And I quote, he tweeted, "Report. Finn Balor's Demon King character is expected to return at WrestleMania 35 as the Demon King will remain unbeatable." So if this is the case, then yes, Bobby Lashley versus Finn Balor, this needs to be a squash. This cannot go more than 3 minutes. You want to save time. I mean, you're going to have 16 matches on the card anyway. You want to save time? Have Balor come out as the Demon, squash Bobby Lashley, win the Intercontinental Championship, and that is that. That's all I can say as far as that report goes. My next report comes from Pro Wrestling Sheet, and it involves the man Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch was offered a new WWE contract earlier in March, and WWE offered Lynch a multi-year contract which included a pay raise. So Lynch is expected to sign the new contract very soon. Now, based off of this, if WWE, I realize there's been a lot of speculation that Becky Lynch is not going to be walking away with the Raw Women's Championship at WrestleMania. She's not going to tap out Ronda Rousey. Based on this information, if this is true, and WWE did offer Becky Lynch a multi-year contract with a pay raise, plus she's currently at number 1 in the merch sales, so Becky Lynch is doing great shit. If this is true, and Becky Lynch is expected to sign the new contract soon, Becky's not going to hesitate to sign that contract. Because if she does, she gets a pay raise, multi-year deal, and this could very well result in Becky Lynch defeating Ronda Rousey. This could be the deciding factor in Becky Lynch defeating Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania in that triple threat match and winning the Raw Women's Championship. Now, I don't know if you heard about the plans for the triple threat, but apparently it's not winner take all. It's whoever pins or submits who gets said title, which again is fucking stupid. But again, to be quite honest with you, I'm not complaining too much because the merging of the divisions is a terrible idea in more ways than one. If you want to hear why, I already ranted on that in the Lightning Flash update last week, and that's almost at 100 views, I believe. But for anyone who's a little apprehensive about Becky Lynch and what's going on there, hopefully that should calm people down just a bit. Now, I'm not sure if it's a definite that Becky Lynch has already signed the contract. They reported that she's expected to sign the contract soon. If I was Becky Lynch, I wouldn't hesitate, because again, this could be the deciding factor in deciding whether Becky Lynch walks out of WrestleMania as the Raw Women's Champion and she taps out Ronda Rousey. That should happen regardless, but again, I don't trust WWE, especially Vince McMahon, in this type of scenario. My next report, and I wanted to spend a lot of time on the last 2 reports, so I'm going to spend a lot of time on this report and then the next report as well. The next report is the biggest report, and I'm going to explain and break it down piece by piece. But this report, coming from Brad Shepard, he reported on the Oh You Didn't Know podcast that Brock Lesnar is expected to retain the Universal title at WrestleMania over Seth Rollins, and I cannot express to you how wrong of a decision this would be. I cannot express to you how wrong of a decision this would be in more ways than one. This stems back over a year ago. Seth Rollins has been overdue for a Universal Championship title run for the last 2 years. Seth Rollins has been one of the saving graces of Monday Night Raw. Seth Rollins has been one of the things about Monday Night Raw that we all look forward to because we just love him as an in-ring performer, and we respect Seth Rollins as a whole. Seth Rollins won the Royal Rumble. Now, this was not the plan for WWE. WWE wanted Roman Reigns and The Rock at WrestleMania 35 for the Universal title. Seth Rollins, when he went on that monumentous role in mid-2018, when he won the Intercontinental title and he went on that absolute tear, Seth Rollins was the guy to go into SummerSlam to face Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship and beat Brock Lesnar, but WWE didn't do that. WWE didn't go that route, and you know why? Because WWE was caught up in their own stubborn delusions, and WWE just couldn't get over the fact that a certain failure, known as Roman Reigns, was just not getting over with the audience, and the audience did not believe that Roman Reigns was legit enough to beat Brock Lesnar. They did not want Roman Reigns to beat Brock Lesnar. But you see, WWE didn't listen to them. The WWE decided to be all smart and decided to be all cocky. They decided to give the middle finger to the audience once again, and they had Roman Reigns go into that terrible feud with Brock Lesnar against Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam, and they had Roman Reigns beat Brock Lesnar after they already had one of the worst WrestleMania main events of all time, and they purposely took the Intercontinental title from Seth Rollins, put it on Dolph Ziggler, only to put it back on Seth Rollins to start SummerSlam, so that way they could keep Seth Rollins out of the main event of SummerSlam. So that way he wouldn't beat Brock Lesnar. So now WWE, Roman went down with leukemia. They gave the title back to Brock Lesnar. Seth Rollins won the Royal Rumble, and now WWE is trying to correct their mistake and give us the match that we should have gotten 8 months ago at SummerSlam. Now they're giving it to us on a bigger stage. But what's the point of giving it to us on a bigger stage if you're not going to have Seth Rollins go over? Seth Rollins has been overdue for a Universal Championship title run for a long, long time. And he is right now the biggest babyface on Monday Night Raw that can carry that brand. And, you know, the only logical reason for Lesnar retaining the Universal title at Mania would be if the Saudi prince, because they're going back to Saudi Arabia in a few weeks after WrestleMania, the Saudi prince would throw some dollar bills at Vince McMahon and say, hey, I want Brock Lesnar as Universal Champion for the Saudi show, and obviously Vince would give in. But you see, here's the deal. I have not heard any reports that the Saudi prince wants Brock Lesnar as Universal Champion for the Saudi show. If I did, then I would be reporting it right now. But I've heard no reports that the Saudi Arabians want Brock Lesnar as Universal Champion for the Saudi show. So, if that's not the case, then what is the case? Why would WWE have Brock Lesnar retain over Seth Rollins? This is what a lot of people aren't going to say, and I'm going to break this down for you. Report came out a few months ago that Vince McMahon was disappointed in Seth Rollins because he was not the babyface that they wanted him to be. And Vince McMahon obviously can't look himself in the mirror and admit that his booking tactics and his control and his stranglehold over WWE Creative caused Seth Rollins to go on a downward spiral after SummerSlam with that whole fucking Shield thing. But Vince will never blame anything on himself. Vince will never look at Roman Reigns and say, the Roman Reigns character is doing great, though. He's always going to look at everything else around him because he's too stubborn to admit when he's wrong. Roman just came back after his battle with leukemia. He's going into a match with Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. Drew McIntyre has been built up perfectly as the next top-tier heel. I stated that unless they are going to continue the feud after WrestleMania, and Drew McIntyre wins the feud at Money in the Bank or Backlash, then Drew McIntyre should be going over at WrestleMania. There is no reason for Roman Reigns to go over at WrestleMania unless they continue the feud with McIntyre after WrestleMania and McIntyre wins the feud. Because I've been hearing all these reports that McIntyre is slated for a big main event push after WrestleMania. And if that's the case, then the logical thing to do would be to either have McIntyre win at WrestleMania or have the feud continue after WrestleMania and have McIntyre win the feud by June at Backlash. Rollins would be the Universal Champion at the time, and they're already advertising Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre for the Extreme Rules pay-per-view in July. That would start the Universal title program between the two, and it would culminate with McIntyre winning the title at SummerSlam. See, all the dots connect there. But if Brock Lesnar is slated to retain, then what the fuck are you going to do with Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns? Because Drew right now is a top-tier heel. Now, though Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar would be a money match, it's heel versus heel. And Drew McIntyre is not really in a position right now, even though he's been booked perfectly as a top-tier heel. Drew McIntyre is not in a position right now where he should be challenging for the Universal Championship. You gotta wait on that. I would not put it past WWE to do this. We all know that McIntyre, if the feud is not going to continue, McIntyre should win at WrestleMania. But realistically, you really think WWE is going to take their hand out of Roman Reigns' ass in this case? Do you really think that Vince McMahon's going to hop off Roman Reigns' balls in this case? Do you really think that the WWE is not going to have Roman Reigns go over at WrestleMania? Do you really think that Vince McMahon can't wait to insert Roman Reigns back into the Universal Championship picture just so he can see Roman and Lesnar on a poster for a Saudi show or WrestleMania so he can sit in his office and jerk off to it? Do you really think that WWE is not planning that? Think about it. You know for a fact that Vince McMahon cannot wait to insert Roman Reigns back into the main event scene because Vince McMahon, he doesn't even realize that the only reasons why Roman Reigns is getting cheered right now because A, people relate to him more as a human being because he just overcame a deadly disease that many people die from on a yearly basis, and people respect him more as a man, and people relate to him more as a human being. They relate to Joe Anoa'i, not Roman Reigns, because he's giving us hope that there's cure for this deadly disease. Joe Anoa'i is over, not Roman Reigns. And on top of that, the fact that you have Drew McIntyre doing great heel work has helped add fuel to the fire of Roman Reigns right now being over as a babyface. But it's not Roman Reigns that's over. It is Joseph Anoa'i that's over. As soon as WWE starts pushing Roman Reigns, the character, they start doing their old booking tactics. If Roman Reigns defeats Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania, this is his first singles match back. If Roman Reigns defeats Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania and they start pushing towards Roman and Lesnar at the Saudi show, we are going to be right back to where we were before Roman Reigns got leukemia. If they do that, I swear, if they do that, I am going to absolutely light WWE up like I've never lit up WWE before. And if anyone tries to defend that bullshit, I am going to call you out and I am going to verbally embarrass you. I'm going to verbally embarrass you. That goes for any fucking Roman Reigns fan. I don't give a shit who you are or what you've done or how long you've supported me. I don't care if you're a supporter. I don't care if you're a doubter or denier. I don't care who you are. If you are telling me that Brock Lesnar is the correct man to retain the Universal title against Seth Rollins at WrestleMania based on the information that I just provided, you need mental fucking help. You need mental fucking help. Rollins needs this. If it is, unless they're going to have Rollins do it at the Saudi show, which I don't understand why they would, because WrestleMania is clearly bigger than the Saudi show, and this has been building and building and building. This should have been done 8 months ago at SummerSlam. Yes, there is no buzz around this feud. Yes, it's a completely dead feud. I get it. But at the end of the day, this match is going to be a great match because I know Seth Rollins is great at what he does, and I know Brock Lesnar is going to bring his A game for something like this because he respects Seth Rollins. At the end of the day, Seth Rollins needs to win the Universal title from Lesnar. Roman, if they insert Roman back into the main event scene to face Brock Lesnar at the Saudi show after WrestleMania, again, we are going to be right back to the same position that Roman Reigns was in before he got leukemia. He's going to get go-away heat. The boos are going to increase and increase. And once again, I'm going to look like a genius. And the people that say the same thing as me are going to look like geniuses. And every other fucking Roman Reigns idiot is going to look like pretty much an idiot. I pretty much, it's redundant, but, you get the point. I've been repeating the same thing for how long now? Been repeating the same thing for how long now? But anyway, those are my thoughts as it relates to that, okay? And as per usual, you don't like it, you can suck my testicles. There you go. That should be another t-shirt. That's either going to be a t-shirt or it's going to be a new wristband. You don't like it, suck my testicles. And my final report of the day, if you notice by the thumbnail and by the shirt that I'm wearing, this came out earlier this week, and a lot of people have been lighting up. Brian Alvarez. Oh, first of all, I actually got it from my friend Earl Cole, member of Wrestling Express. Shout out to him. Earl Cole provided me with this interesting piece of news. Brian Alvarez stated on Wrestling Observer Live that WWE was considering putting Johnny Gargano on 205 Live due to Tommaso Ciampa's injury. He does fit the size of a 205 Live competitor, but this does not make fans very happy at all, and I'm going to elaborate on why. Johnny Gargano, ever since the breakup with Tommaso Ciampa, has been one of the best wrestlers, if not the best wrestler in the WWE right now. He's been putting on 5-star classics for the entirety of 2018, and he just put on another fucking 5-star classic with Ricochet back at NXT TakeOver Phoenix. Now, this Friday, he's going into a match with Adam Cole, 2 out of 3 falls for the NXT title. Gargano, supposedly I heard that Gargano requested to stay in NXT for another year until Ciampa comes back, which is fine. Now, here's the deal. Triple H is running 205 Live. I get it. Triple H is running 205 Live, and here's the deal. I would have no problem with Gargano being put on 205 Live if 205 Live was another version of NXT. Now, what I mean by that is, you take a look at what has happened with some people, like the Lucha House Party, how they've been appearing on Raw as a tag team. Lio Rush is now appearing on Raw. Mustafa Ali's on SmackDown. Yeah, those are a select few. But you see, there was no guarantee that the WWE was going to put those guys on 205 Live. Now, obviously 205 Live needs some star power, and Johnny Gargano can bring a lot of star power. And again, you can imagine the matches that Gargano would have with the likes of Buddy Murphy and the likes of Cedric Alexander and Tony Nese and Oney Lorcan now that he's a part of 205 Live. But the majority of those guys on 205 Live, including Gargano is above 205 Live. Gargano's above 205 Live, and yes, Triple H is running it, and that's why 205 Live's been so good. 205 Live's been better than Raw and SmackDown. But Johnny Gargano is the type of guy where you can put on a Raw or a SmackDown. Johnny Gargano is above 205 Live. Literally, you could take a look at all the matches that Johnny Gargano has had on the past 5 or 6 NXT TakeOvers, and each and every single one of them have been WrestleMania-like main events. You can even take a look back at Aleister Black and Johnny Gargano from NXT TakeOver War Games. There was no title on the line, and that match in itself was better than the past 3 WrestleMania main events that we've had at 32, 33, and 34. You need to understand that 205 Live right now, it's just a huge question mark. Because you see, Mustafa Ali was not slated to be on SmackDown. There was no plans to bring Mustafa Ali over from 205 Live to SmackDown. Mustafa Ali was hand-chosen, given the opportunity in a match against Daniel Bryan. He impressed, and he was able to graduate from 205 Live to SmackDown Live. Now, if 205 Live was to be made into a second version of NXT, then guys like Cedric, guys like Tony, and guys like Buddy Murphy would have already been on the main roster. They would have already been put on either Raw or SmackDown already. Guys like that, again, I am still concerned for Cedric, because Cedric right now, he's gone as far as he can go on 205 Live. Cedric needs to be on Raw. Cedric, again, I stated how Raw needs to build a mid-card. Cedric is a perfect addition to a Raw mid-card. I'd love to see Cedric versus guys like EC3 or Finn Balor or Ricochet for the Intercontinental Championship. I don't know what's going to happen when Cedric loses this feud to Oney, because again, Oney Lorcan, newly turned heel on 205 Live, just turned heel, now he's in a feud with Cedric in this undercard program. What's going to happen to Cedric when he's done with this Oney Lorcan feud? He's just going to float around? He was floating around before they brought this tournament in, and now he's got this feud with Oney. What's going to happen to Buddy Murphy when he loses the Cruiserweight Championship? Because Buddy Murphy's not going to be Cruiserweight Champion forever. But Buddy Murphy, right now, he's at the top of his game. There's a good chance he could lose the Cruiserweight title at WrestleMania to Tony Nese. There's a very good chance he could. Now, I'm not sure if they would do that, because right now he's operating on another level. But at this rate, I really wouldn't put it past WWE. Triple H, he must see something in Tony Nese, because Tony Nese is great at what he does. Tony Nese is very underrated. But again, what's going to happen to Buddy Murphy after he loses the Cruiserweight Championship? I would not mind guys being put on 205 Live if after a while, after they've gone as far as they can go, they go off to Raw or SmackDown like Mustafa Ali did, or Lio Rush did, or the Lucha House Party. Lucha House Party's still competing on Raw and 205 Live. That's why I said they need to take the weight limit off and have people float between 205 Live, Raw, and SmackDown, because then you could have a deeper roster on 205 Live with guys like Rey Mysterio or Finn Balor. Again, I wouldn't mind Finn Balor on 205 Live as long as they could still compete on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. But again, there is no guarantee. Everything with 205 Live is a huge question mark. And people that have been placed on 205 Live, look at the amount of talent restricted to a weight limit that have left. Guys like Hideo, guys like TJP who got released, guys like Neville, guys like Austin Aries. Now, some of them were before Triple H was operating it, but even with Triple H operating it, it's still a huge question mark. It's a great show with great wrestling, but Johnny Gargano, again, he is above 205 Live with everything that he's been doing. Now, I don't really want Johnny Gargano to be placed on Raw or SmackDown without any plans, and here's the deal. If they had a plan to put Johnny on 205 Live, not forever, maybe for a year. Maybe for a year, if Tommaso Ciampa comes back. Tommaso Ciampa would come back after injury. Gargano would already be on SmackDown. I would have no problem if Triple H took Johnny for 205 Live and he used Johnny just to gain some more notoriety for the brand. I wouldn't mind that. I really wouldn't mind that. However, I would mind if Gargano's going to be on 205 Live permanently. Because Gargano, like I said, he is above 205 Live. Way above 205 Live. So if they want to put Johnny Gargano on 205 Live for a year, have him win the Cruiserweight title, he loses the Cruiserweight title, and you want to put him on SmackDown, then you put him on SmackDown after WrestleMania 36, I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind Gargano being put on SmackDown after he's gone as far as he can go on 205 Live after WrestleMania 36, and then Tommaso Ciampa comes back and they can pick up the feud there. Gargano doesn't need Tommaso Ciampa to have the success that he's had. Gargano is a success story on his own. Gargano is a full-blown success story on his own. Now again, I don't have faith in WWE to have the same intensity and the same feel and the same buzz and the same heat that the feud had in NXT with Gargano and Ciampa, but Gargano needs to go to SmackDown Live. Gargano needs to go to SmackDown Live one way or another. I don't care. Now, whether that be through 205 Live or straight to SmackDown Live, again I state, I would have no problem with Gargano spending a year on 205 Live, winning the Cruiserweight title, and then being transferred over to the main roster. But again, there's no guarantee that WWE is going to do that. So of course the fans are going to be unhappy. Of course people are going to be unhappy because a guy like Johnny Gargano, the next Daniel Bryan, he can't be restricted to something like 205 Live. If 205 Live, again, if it was made into another version of NXT for the guys 205 Live and under, because realistically, guys like Cedric, guys like Murphy, guys like Nice, guys like Gulak, guys like Ali, they belong on Raw and SmackDown competing with everyone else. And guys like Ali have proved that. Guys like Leo, I'll even include him, he's proved that. So what's the point of putting Gargano on 205 Live if you're just going to restrict him? You cannot restrict a guy like Gargano. If he is to go to 205 Live, Triple H better be pushing for plans to put him on SmackDown Live after he's gone as far as he can go. After he's gone as far as he can go on 205 Live, Triple H better be pushing for plans to have Gargano move to SmackDown, and when Ciampa comes back, you better pick up the feud with Ciampa and Gargano on SmackDown Live and have Ciampa take out Gargano and build off the feud that you cost me the NXT Championship. You took the NXT title away from me, and now I'm going to take everything away from you. That is exactly what they need to do should they go forth with Gargano on 205 Live. Now again, he said they're just considering it, but with WWE, you never know. Now if the report that Gargano requested to stay in NXT for another year is true, good on him. Good on him. Wait till Ciampa gets back, then they can pick up the feud there. They can pick up the feud, they can end the feud there. I'm not sure if Gargano's going to become NXT champion. I wouldn't do it because, again, you want to hear my thoughts about that, then you will go and watch the rundown for TakeOver New York, which I posted yesterday, and I will post it in the link I will post a link in the description as well if you want to go back and watch that. But again, right now with Johnny Gargano, it is a huge question mark. He's a huge question mark. I don't know what they're going to do, but those are my thoughts on Gargano moving to 205 Live. I wouldn't have a problem with it as long as 205 Live was another version of NXT. Because those guys, a lot of those guys on 205 Live, they belong on Raw and SmackDown, whether you want to admit it or not. They belong on Raw and SmackDown. Now, there was a report that they were considering Finn Balor for 205 Live, and here he is, getting ready to face off against Bobby Lashley in another match for the Intercontinental title. So, you know, we'll see how that plays out. But those are just my thoughts on that. And ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up this edition of the Lightning Flash Update. I would like to thank each and every single one of you who tuned into this video. Do not forget to follow me on Instagram at @TheDJStorms. Do not forget to follow me on Twitter at HistoryMakerDJS. I did report that the rundown for TakeOver New York is up. And if you want to go check that out, link will be in the description. Do not forget, I will be at Access on Friday. I will be on Access. WrestleMania Access from 1 to 5 on Friday, April 5th. Also, I will be posting the rundown for WrestleMania on April 6th and addressing this whole Search for Thunder issue. I am going to try and handle it as best as I can. So for those of you who are still concerned of where Thunder is, look, I don't want to give up. Like I said in the beginning of the video, but I don't know. I will address it when we get to the rundown for WrestleMania on Saturday. Rescue Mania, YouTube tapings, my hometown of Elmwood Park. And it's at the Elmwood Park Rec Center. Main event, as far as I know right now, is Mike Orlando versus Crowbar. That's going to be a good one. I'm going to be there. I will have the reactions up for you guys, hopefully, before I go to the Raw after WrestleMania the following day. Rescue Mania Never Forgotten. Rescue Mania Never Forgotten is on April 14th, 2019. Show starts at 3:30 p.m. The main event is Joey Janela, AEW signee Joey Janela taking on Crowbar for the WrestleMania Heavyweight Championship. If you're interested in going to the WrestleMania YouTube tapings in Elmwood Park, that's going to be at the Elmwood Park Rec Center in Elmwood Park, New Jersey. Pre-show starts at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time with autographs, photo op, free hot dog, and the main show starts at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And on top of that, do not forget, on May 19th, 2019. That's when Wrestling Express is going back to Pub 46 in Clifton, New Jersey, starting at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm going to be there. Tommy McGrogan's going to be there. Glenn Davidson's going to be there. All the members of Wrestling Express are going to be there. And it is going to be showcasing Money in the Bank pay-per-view. So you want to come meet me, you want to come meet the administration, you want to come and hang, collab, talk wrestling, and talk business, you know where to come. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm the one and only DJ Storms. This has been the Lightning Flash Update. Very special Wednesday upload of the Lightning Flash Update. I will catch you guys later this week for WrestleMania Access reactions and the rundown for Mania. Hope you guys have a great day.